Of the 9 people preparing for today's show, only one will take home prize money of up to £10,000. The rest of the team will leave with nothing. Why? Because one by one they'll be voted off as the weakest link.
Welcome to the weakest link. Any of the 9 people in the studio here today could win up to £10,000. They don't know each other, however, if they want the prize money, they'll have to work as a team. But 8 of them will leave with nothing, as round by round we lose the player voted the weakest link. Let's meet the team.
I'm Caroline, I'm 31, and I'm a solicitor from Birmingham.
I'm Yvonne, I'm 49, and I'm a crime researcher from Shoreham-by-Sea.
I'm Phil from Brighton, 31, and I'm an air traffic controller.
I'm Josephine, I'm 27, I'm an admin assistant from London.
I'm Steve, I'm 32, I'm in the Royal Air Force and from Lucas.
I'm Judy, I'm from Shenstone in Staffordshire, I'm 62 and I'm retired.
I'm Mark, I'm 34 from Leeds and I'm a van driver.
I'm Anthony, I'm 20 and I'm a student from Liverpool.
I'm David, I'm 48 years old, I'm from Torquay and a market trader.
Now the rules. In each round the aim is to answer enough questions correctly to reach your £1,000 target within the time limit. The fastest way is to create a chain of 9 correct answers. Get your question wrong and you break the chain and lose all the money in that chain. But if you say bank before the question is asked, the money is safe. However, you start a new chain from scratch. Remember, at the end of the round, only money that has been banked can be taken forward. In round 1, there are 3 minutes on the clock. We'll start with the person whose name is first alphabetically. That's you, Anthony. Let's play the weakest link. And the first question is for £20. Start the clock. Anthony, which English city is the home of the GMEX Exhibition Centre?
Manchester.
Correct. David, in the animal kingdom, does a housefly's life cycle begin as an egg or a maggot?
Maggots.
Egg. Caroline, in the 1980s, which Scotsman was twice world darts champion?
Eric Bristow.
Jockey Wilson. Yvonne, which meat, along with butter and sugar, was the first commodity to be rationed in 1940 at the start of World War II?
Beef.
Bacon or ham? Phil, is the Republic of Ghana situated in northern or western Africa?
Western Africa.
West, correct. Josephine, in the Bible, what was the name of King David's wife who was previously married to Nabal? Abigail or Anna?
Abigail.
Correct. Steve, in nature, which gas is produced by photosynthesis?
Oxygen.
Correct. Judy.
Bank.
In nature, a hair streak is a variety of which insect?
A butterfly.
Correct. Mark, in literature, complete the title of the Arthur Ransom children's story, Swallows and what?
Butterflies.
Amazons. Anthony, what specific type of clothing is a poncho?
Like a jacket type thing.
It's a shawl or cape? David, in pop music, who was vice president of Motown Records and also the lead singer of The Miracles?
Goody.
Smokey Robinson. Caroline, which of these cities is furthest from London by plane, Seoul or Toronto?
Sorry, could you repeat the question, please?
Which of these cities is furthest from London by plane, Seoul or Toronto?
Seoul.
Correct. Yvonne, on the internet, does the term telnet refer to information found on bulletin boards or to remote computer access?
Remote computer access.
Correct. Phil.
Bank.
In literature, what nationality was Anthony Burgess, the author of A Clockwork Orange?
English.
Correct. Josephine, which British politician gave the infamous Rivers of Blood speech in April 1968?
Harold Macmillan.
Enoch Powell. Steve, in which action film did Tom Cruise first play the character Ethan Hunt?
Mission Impossible.
Correct. Judy, in sport, in which position does the England footballer David Seaman play?
Centre.
Goalkeeper. Mark.
Bank.
In the children's traditional story, which child is eaten by a wolf disguised as an old lady?
Little Red Riding Hood.
Correct. Anthony, on which body of water does the French resort Biarritz lie?
The Mediterranean Sea.
Atlantic Ocean. David, in the animal kingdom, which has more legs, a lobster or a scorpion?
Lobster.
Correct. Caroline.
Bank.
Traditionally, in Britain, the chrysanthemum is a flower associated with which month?
June.
November. Yvonne, in physics, what is the minimum number of metals needed to form an alloy?
2.
Correct. Phil.
Bank.
In history, who crowned Napoleon Bonaparte Emperor of France in 1804?
Pass.
Himself. Josephine, in geography, are the Great Smoky Mountains in Canada or the USA?
Canada.
Time's up. The correct answer was USA. £190 have been banked of your £1,000 target. Hardly an amazing performance. Who's got to go? One of you is about to leave with nothing. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
Steve is the strongest link, the only player to answer all his questions correctly. The statistics show that Anthony and David are joint weakest links. They each got 2 questions wrong, and they both lost money for the team. But how will the voting go?
OK, voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
David.
Josephine.
David.
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 Caroline.
Judy.
Caroline. Why David?
Because he was quite hesitant.
Right.
And I know he got the same number of questions wrong as I did. But I had to choose somebody.
You weren't hesitant then?
Apart from not being able to hear the question.
No, oh, so it was my fault. David, it's votes that count. With 6 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
To be the first one off is a little bit disappointing. But having said that, somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. And I've had a good time. As for who's going to win, I couldn't really say. Because they're all pretty close together, so I wouldn't know.
Round 2. You've won a disappointing £190 so far, team, out of a possible £1,000. There are 8 of you left. We are now taking 10 seconds off the clock. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Steve. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Steve, in literature, which annual race event features in Enid Bagnall's book National Velvet?
Show jumping.
Grand National. Judy, in architecture, did the Palladium style evolve from Italy or Spain?
Italy.
Correct. Mark, Lausanne and Lucerne are cities in which country?
Italy.
Switzerland. Anthony, the Munchkins are characters from which film starring Judy Garland?
Wizard of Oz.
Correct. Caroline, which building is taller, the Eiffel Tower or Rouen Cathedral?
Eiffel Tower.
Correct. Yvonne, in food, scrag end is a cut of which meat?
Lamb.
Correct. Phil,
Bank.
the pop bands Big Country and Deacon Blue both come from which part of the UK?
Scotland.
Correct. Josephine, the dismantling of which infamous German structure began in November 1989?
Berlin Wall.
Correct. Steve, in nature, what does a mole prefer to eat, grass or earthworms?
Earthworms.
Correct. Judy,
Bank.
in maths, isosceles and scalene are both forms of which plane shape?
Triangle.
Correct. Mark, which superheroes' foes included Mr. Freeze and the Penguin?
Batman.
Correct. Anthony,
Bank.
in physics, what F is the pivot or fixed point on which a lever moves?
Fulcrum.
Correct. Caroline, before Bill Clinton, how many presidents of the United States have been impeached?
None.
1. Yvonne, in geography, to which island group does the island of Herm belong?
Channel Island.
Correct. Phil, in the animal kingdom, how many eyes does a caterpillar have, 6 or 12?
6.
12. Josephine, the city of Krakow is in which country?
In Hungary.
Poland. Steve, who narrates in Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes stories?
Pass.
Dr. Watson. Judy, in 1994, which country won football's World Cup for the 4th time?
Germany.
Brazil. Mark, in physics, what unit of electromotive force was named after Count Alessandro Volta?
Voltage.
The volt, correct. Anthony, which planet has been called both the morning star and the evening star?
Venus.
Correct. Caroline.
Bank.
Followers of which religion face towards Mecca to pray?
Islam.
Correct. Yvonne, in geology, what A is the most abundant metal in the crust of the Earth?
Aluminium.
Correct. Phil.
Bank.
Which Joan made her film debut in Lady Godiva Rides Again in 1951?
Crawford.
Joan Collins. Josephine, in science, the gas radon is given off by which element whose symbol is Rn?
Pass.
Radium. Steve, in pop music, name the a cappella group who had a Christmas #1 in 1983 with the song Only You. Time's up. The correct answer was Flying Pickets. Right, you won £350 in that round. You, of course, could have won another £1,000. Who very clearly doesn't deserve to stay? Who is holding you back? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
Statistically, the weakest link is Josephine. Anthony is this round's strongest link, as he was the only player to answer all his questions correctly and bank money for the team. But will the other players have picked up on these details?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Mark.
Mark.
Steve.
Steve.
Caroline.
Josephine.
Josephine.
Steve.
Mark, what does that mean?
It just means not tonight, Josephine.
How, I don't understand.
Well, I'm nominating Josephine out, so not tonight, Josephine.
Right. Bill, what did Steve do to upset you?
Well, he lives near St Andrews and I like to play golf and I can't play there, so I'm afraid he has to go.
That's a very, very good reason.
Yeah.
Josephine, why Steve?
I don't think he actually got any of the questions right in that round. Unfortunately, he did run out of time at the end and he did know the answer.
Right. He did get one right. He got one right and two wrong. Not a very good performance, that, was it?
Same as me.
In fact, Josephine, it wasn't the same as you, because statistically you were the worst player. However, there's nothing fair about this programme. Steve with 3 votes, you are the weakest link. Bye.
I'm not happy about being voted off. Statistics prove that I wasn't the weakest link. But someone's got to go, and unfortunately I get 2 literature questions, which is not really my strong point. But I think Josephine will be off next because she was the weakest link last time.
Round 3, team, and of the £2,000 you could have won by now, you've actually banked just £540. You're down to 7 players. We're taking another 10 seconds off the clock. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Anthony. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Anthony, the Securitate were the secret police of which Eastern European country?
Hungary.
Romania. Caroline, does Sunderland stand at the mouth of the River Wear or the River Tees?
Wear.
Correct. Yvonne, in food, which foodstuff is sold as small, medium, large or very large now that 1 to 7 sizing system has been abolished?
Eggs.
Correct. Phil, which West End musical has the cast performing on roller skates?
Starlight Express.
Correct. Josephine,
Bank.
in rock music, John Francis Bon Jovi Jr. is better known by which name?
John Bon Jovi.
Correct. Judy, in which town on the outskirts of Paris was the peace treaty signed after World War I?
Utrecht.
Versailles. Mark, in literature, Bernice Rubens won which prize in 1970 for the book The Elected Member?
Nobel.
The Booker Prize. Anthony, in the animal kingdom, what is the more common name for the small pest, the Pulex irritans?
I pass, I don't know.
Flea. Caroline, in politics, which British Prime Minister brought the 3-day week in 1973?
Pass.
Edward Heath. Yvonne, in astrology, which star sign falls between the star signs of Libra and Sagittarius?
Capricorn.
Scorpio. Phil, Jockey Sir Gordon Richards won which horse race in 1953 at his 28th attempt?
The Derby.
Correct. Josephine, what sea name is given to the French brandy which has been distilled twice?
Cognac.
Correct. Judy.
Bank.
In geology, a paleontologist studies what that are found in rocks?
Fossils.
Correct. Mark, when correctly spelt is the letter I before or after E in the word weird?
After.
Correct. Anthony.
Bank.
What's the name of the largest cut diamond in existence?
Kohinoor.
Star of Africa. Caroline, in the TV series of the same name, what type of business does Steptoe and Son operate?
Rag and Bone Men.
Correct. Yvonne, which English Premiership football team features a cannon on its club badge?
Derby.
Arsenal. Phil, in which decade did British Weather Report start giving temperature in centigrade as well as Fahrenheit?
60s.
Correct. Josephine, in clothing, what would spats be attached to?
Trousers.
Shoes. Judy, the comedian Lenny Henry is married to which comedian?
Dawn French.
Correct. Mark, in the title of Samuel Beckett's play, who was being waited for?
No idea.
Godot. Anthony, in countries such as Saudi Arabia, desalination plants. Time's up, I cannot complete the question, and in that round, team, you won £200. Who would you be happy to lose immediately? One of you is about to leave with nothing. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
Statistically, Phil is the strongest link. Having been the strongest player in the last round, Anthony is now the weakest link, as he failed to answer a single question correctly. However, he did bank money for the team. Will this save him when it comes to the voting?
Okay, voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Mark.
Anthony.
Mark.
Anthony.
Mark.
Josephine.
Josephine.
Right. Phil, why Mark?
He did get a couple wrong, but I would have to say they were difficult questions. And sorry to lose him because he's funny.
Right. Okay. Caroline, why Mark?
Because I think he should be getting back to his whippets and his business.
Right. Okay, that's fair enough. So, not tonight, Mark. You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Okay, I think there's a lot of snobbery up there, a lot of people with good jobs, well educated. Maybe they thought a van driver from Leeds maybe just might have been a bit too low market for them there. I think the person that'll be voted off next will definitely be Josephine, as she was a little bit worse than me in that round.
Round 4, £740 in the bank so far, out of potential prize money of £3,000. 6 of you left. They're taking another 10 seconds off the clock. You now have only 2.5 minutes. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Phil. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Phil, from what country did the inventor of cellophane, Dr. Jacques Edwin Brandenburger, come?
Switzerland.
Correct. Josephine, in the animal kingdom, which mountain range is the natural habitat of the llama?
The Andes.
Correct. Judy, in what decade was the Thames flood barrier completed?
70s.
1980s. Anthony, the name of which Roman goddess is used as a general term for the plant life of a region?
Fauna.
Flora. Caroline, which amusement park opened near Stoke-on-Trent in 1979?
Alton Towers.
Correct. Yvonne, in history, was it in 1716 or 1816 that the first steamship crossed the English Channel?
1716.
1816. Phil, which political party has a name which means in English the Party of Wales?
Cymru.
Plaid Cymru. Josephine, in sport, which London football team had a chart hit in 1981 with the song Aussie's Dream?
Tottenham Hotspur.
Correct. Judy, Mumbai is the official name of an Indian city. By what name is it generally known?
Bombay.
Correct. Anthony,
Blanket.
the ancient Etruscan civilization once flourished in which modern country?
Italy.
Correct. Caroline, on the World Wide Web, what country does the DK domain represent?
Denmark.
Correct. Yvonne,
Bank.
In which American city is Georgetown University?
Houston.
Washington, D.C. Phil. In food, what bee is the main ingredient in the Middle Eastern salad dish tabbouleh?
Beans.
Bulgur wheat. Josephine. In sport, who was the first Australian cricketer to be knighted?
I don't know.
Sir Donald Bradman. Judy. In literature, who was the author of the novel The Carpetbaggers?
Harold Robbins.
Correct. Anthony. Which is the largest wild carnivore native to Britain, often called Brock?
Badger.
Correct. Caroline. Pre-decimalisation, how many pennies were there in a pound sterling?
100.
240. Yvonne. In TV, Cliff Barnes was the arch enemy of which 1980s soap character?
J.R. Ewing.
Correct. Phil.
Bank.
Which independent nation in the West Indies is the most easterly of the Caribbean islands?
Jamaica.
Barbados. Josephine. In the game drafts, how many pieces are there on the board at the beginning of the game?
32.
24. Judy.
Bank.
Hugh Grant is currently making which film adapted from Helen Fielding's... Time is up. I cannot complete the question. And in that round, you went right down the drain again. Just £170 banked. Who is breaking the chains? Who is dithering and needs to be dispatched without delay? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
The weakest link statistically is Phil, as he got the most questions wrong. However, he did bank money for the team. For the first time in the game, Caroline is the strongest link. But who will get the votes?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Josephine.
Caroline.
Josephine.
Phil.
Caroline.
Yvonne.
Right. Well, we have a tie. Caroline and Josephine, 2 votes each. Phil, didn't think much of Josephine in that last round.
I'm a great believer in sexual equality, and there's only 2 guys left, so I'm just really trying to even out the numbers a bit, that's all.
Right. You didn't think to vote for the weakest link?
Well, I thought she was, although I was impressed with her Tottenham Hotspur answer.
Right. Judy, why Caroline?
Got to vote for somebody, and I had a feeling she was beginning to get a few wrong here and there.
Right. Well, Caroline, you certainly did us proud when I asked you how many pennies there are in a pound. Pre-decimalisation, you thought there were 100. There wouldn't have been much point in decimalisation if there'd been 100, would there, Caroline? Although you're a tie for the weakest link, you are in fact, or were in fact in that last round, the strongest link. So you get to decide who goes off. The choice is between Caroline and Josephine, and you can't vote for yourself. Why did you vote for Josephine?
Because she has had a couple wrong in the last few rounds, and it's very difficult at this stage because everyone has been doing very well.
Well, that's enormously tactful of you. Josephine, at the end of all that tactful explanation, she wants rid of you. You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I don't think I should have been voted off at this point. I think I was quite strong in that round. I might not have banked, but I've got a couple of questions. And I think that Phil should hopefully, well, not hopefully, but should be off in the next couple of rounds, if not the next round.
Round 5, and of the £4,000 you could have won by now, you've managed to put in the bank just 910. 5 of you left, another 10 seconds coming off the time. We start with the strongest link from the last round, that's Caroline. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Caroline, in sport, which English Midlands football team is nicknamed the Sky Blues?
Coventry City.
Correct. Yvonne, which Spanish singer's version of Begin the Beguine topped the UK charts in 1981?
Julio Iglesias.
Correct. Phil, in the animal kingdom, which creature makes the largest noises capable of being detected 500 miles away?
Elephants.
The whale. Judy, in literature, what nationality was the falcon in the title of Dashiell Hammett's novel?
Maltese.
Correct. Anthony, in politics, what name is given to the electoral system in which the number of seats gained by a party directly reflects their total overall vote?
Proportional representation.
Correct. Caroline, by what name is the politician William Jefferson Blythe IV better known?
William Jefferson.
Bill Clinton. Yvonne, Name the Irish singer who had a hit with Orinoco Flow.
Dana.
Enya. Phil. The former Royal Yacht Britannia is now a tourist attraction in which Scottish city?
Perth.
Edinburgh. Judy, how many hours are there in 3 days?
1.
72. Anthony, in literature, what A is a condensed or shortened version of a work?
Don't know.
Abridged. Caroline, in science, what is extracted from a substance for it to be described as anhydrous?
Water.
Correct. Yvonne, which pop band had a UK hit in 1995 with the song Country House?
Don't know.
Blur. Phil, in the Eric Carle children's book, what is Very Hungry?
Pass.
A caterpillar. Judy, what is the first name of the former German Chancellor Kohl?
Helmut.
Correct. Anthony, which piece of women's gymnastic equipment is 5 metres long and 10 centimetres wide?
The, I don't know.
Balance beam. Caroline, in fashion, what are jelly bean sandals or jelly shoes made from?
Plastic.
Correct. Yvonne, in
Bank.
which musical does the song Sit Down, You're Rockin' the Boat appear?
Guys and Dolls.
Correct. Phil.
Bank.
Lilith was the stern wife of which character in the American TV series Cheers?
Fraser Crane.
Correct.
Bank.
Judy, in English history, which W were institutions originally set up in the 17th century? Time is up. I cannot complete the question. And in that round, you only banked £110. Who is severely holding you back? One of you is about to leave with nothing. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
For the second time in a row, Caroline is the strongest link. She got the most questions right and banked the most money. The weakest link is Phil. He got the most questions wrong, although he did bank money for the team. Can he survive the vote?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Anthony.
Phil.
Anthony.
Yvonne.
Phil.
Well, we have a tie again. Phil and Anthony, 2 votes each. Phil. Thought Anthony had the worst round, did you?
No, it was quite obviously me.
Because you only got 1 question right.
Yes, and I thought elephants could shout for 500 miles as well.
Anthony, why Phil?
To be honest, I thought I was the weakest, but, you know, you can't vote for yourself and everything, so...
No. Caroline, back to you again as the strongest link. You have the vote.
I'm going to be consistent and stick with Anthony.
Why?
Because it would be pretty hard to change horses at this stage.
That's the way it's crumbled, Anthony. You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Bye.
I was losing confidence a little bit. I was kind of like, when she's asking the questions, I was not really listening and giving out answers, you know, too quickly rather than thinking about it, because I was very conscious of the time. So, you know, I think I deserve to go. I find it really hard to say who will be off next, because I think they're all doing probably as well as each other. You know, some of them will have good rounds and then bad rounds. So I think it could be, you know, just about any of them really.
Round 6. There's £1,020 in the bank. You could have won 5,000 by now. 4 of you left. We are cutting another 10 seconds from your time. We start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Caroline. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Caroline, the American TV series Chicago Hope is set in which type of establishment?
Hospital.
Correct. Yvonne, how many kilograms make up 1 metric ton?
1,000.
Correct. Phil, which jazz singer is married to Johnny Dankworth?
Cleo Lane.
Correct. Judy.
Bank.
In sport, which country won the women's Olympic team gold in gymnastics in every Games from 1952 to 1980?
Russia.
Correct. Caroline, John Piper designed the stained glass in the baptistry window in which English cathedral?
Pass.
Coventry. Yvonne, which state of the USA gives its name to a black and yellow beetle that attacks potato crops?
Colorado.
Correct. Phil, which pop singer sold more records in the 90s than any other female?
Kylie Minogue.
Mariah Carey. Judy, what is the name of the grass skirt traditionally worn in Hawaii?
A hula hula skirt.
A hula skirt.
Bank.
We'll accept hula hula. Caroline, in the animal kingdom, crab, beta, Ross and northern fir are species of which mammal family?
Deer.
Seals. Yvonne, in which country was playwright John Osborne born?
England.
Correct. Phil, which British colony, now part of China, surrendered to the Japanese on Christmas Day 1941?
Hong Kong.
Correct. Judy.
Bank.
In what century was the electric washing machine invented?
19th.
20th century. Caroline, during the Second World War, in which spa town was the National Assembly of France based under General Patin?
Vichy.
Correct. Yvonne, in sports, Sir Tom Finney played for which Lancashire soccer club throughout his entire career?
Manchester City.
Preston. Phil, Boss Hogg and Daisy Duke featured in which 1970s TV series?
Dukes of Hazzard.
Correct. Judy,
Bank.
the song I Want to Be Like You comes from which animated children's film?
The Lion King.
Jungle Book. Caroline, in maths, 5.08 centimetres is equivalent to how many inches?
10.
2 inches. Yvonne, in the animal kingdom, a fer de lance is a type of which cold-blooded creature?
Snake.
Correct. Phil. Time's up, and in that round you banked £210. But who is now hindering your progress and costing you money? Who is struggling too much to stay? One of you is about to leave with nothing. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
The weakest link statistically is Caroline, who got the most questions wrong. Having answered the most questions correctly, Yvonne is the strongest link, although Judy banked the most money for the team. But will the voting follow the facts?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Judy.
Judy.
Caroline.
Caroline.
Right, team, we have a tie yet again. Judy and Caroline, 2 votes each. Caroline, why Judy?
Because she is out on her own there, and it would be tidier with the 3 here.
You wouldn't rather vote off the person who got the most questions wrong, would you?
That would be myself.
I'm glad you noticed. Judy, why Caroline?
Because I thought she got the most questions wrong.
Well, Yvonne, you were the strongest link in the last round, so you have the choice who you'd like to get rid of. You can change your mind if you wish.
I'm very sorry to have to say it, Judy, but
Why?
I'm not going to change mine. Because I thought she was doing very well up until this round, but...
She wasn't the weakest link.
No, but...
You just want to be unfair, that's fine.
I'm sorry.
Judy, Yvonne wants rid of you. You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I do not think I should have been voted off. I haven't been the weakest link once. I've banked a lot of money, and I have got questions wrong, but no more than anybody else. The person who should go next is Caroline. She's been getting weaker, and she's not as strong as Philip or Yvonne.
Round 7, and of the £6,000 you could have won by now, you've scraped together 1,230. 3 of you left. Another 10 seconds off the clock. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Yvonne. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Yvonne, in Australia, a middy and schooner are both types of what?
Boat.
Glasses. Phil, in history, on which continent did the ancient city of Carthage stand?
European.
Africa. Caroline, in pop music, which Motown star began her musical career in the Primettes along with Mary Wilson, Barbara Martin and Florence Ballard?
Diana Ross.
Correct. Yvonne, in sport, by what name is toxophilae better known?
Archery.
Correct. Phil, what part of the day is a nyctophobic person afraid of?
The morning.
Night. Caroline, in the TV comedy series Porridge, what was the name of Fletcher's regular cellmate?
Pass.
Godber. Yvonne, the Angel of the North statue towers above which A road near Gateshead?
The A1.
Correct. Phil, in which country would you find the city of Sarajevo?
Yugoslavia.
Bosnia. Caroline, in what century was the Blackpool eliminations lit up for the first time?
19th century.
Correct.
Bank.
Yvonne, in pop music, Bonehead left which Mancunian band in 1999?
Oasis.
Correct. Phil, in literature, F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote about the Great Who?
Gatsby.
Correct. Caroline.
Bank.
In the animal kingdom, what is the opposite of nocturnal and means active in the daytime?
Diurnal.
Correct. Yvonne.
Bank.
In Canada, what do the letters RCMP stand for?
Royal Mounted Canadian Police.
Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Phil, in which form of transport is a width 1,435 millimetres known as standard gauge?
Railways.
Correct. Caroline, what nationality are the fashion designers Donna Karan and Calvin Klein?
American.
Correct. Yvonne.
Bank.
Which John Buchan novel was adapted for the big screen in 1935, 1959 and 1978?
39 Steps.
Correct. Phil.
Bank.
In which country in 1960 did the Sharpeville massacre take place?
South Africa.
Correct. Caroline.
Bank.
Time up. You banked just in time, and in that round you put in the kitty £180. Now, in round 8, you get the chance to treble what you bank, and that means in the next round there's £3,000 to be won. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
Yvonne banked the most money for the team, but with the fewest wrong answers, Caroline is the strongest link. The weakest link statistically is Phil. He got as many questions wrong as right. But at this late stage in the game, how will the votes go?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Phil.
Phil.
Yvonne.
Yvonne, why Phil?
I may be wrong, but I thought that we'd built up a bit of a chain of money and then he got a question wrong and I would have banked if I'd have been him.
Caroline, why Phil?
Because he wants to go home and see his new baby.
Right, well, he's going to do that just now. Statistically, Phil, you were the weakest link. You've been voted the weakest link. Goodbye.
I think I possibly could have got the Carthage one right, because I thought it was kind of around the Egypt way, and then I thought that was in Europe, which wasn't very bright. But the other two, really, no, I didn't really. Well, I kind of thought I knew the Sarajevo one, but it's the former Yugoslavia, wasn't it? The fact that there were 3 ties indicates to me that everybody was of a standard that was fairly similar, and which again emphasises the fact that it's difficult to vote people off in these situations, but you just have to do it.
Round 8, you've won £1,410 so far. You could, of course, have won by now £7,000. Caroline and Yvonne, just the two of you left, and this time you have 90 seconds. But whatever you win in this round will be trebled and added to your total to make up your final prize money. £3,000, therefore, is at stake in this round. We start with the strongest link from the last round, that's Caroline. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Caroline, in the UK, the River Wye flows through which 2 countries?
Wales and England.
Correct. Yvonne, in politics, who was the so-called third man in the Burgess and McLean spy case who defected to Moscow in 1963?
Kim Philby.
Correct. Caroline.
Bank.
In literature, whose science fiction works include The First Man in the Moon?
Pass.
H.G. Wells. Yvonne, in pop music, which female singer released the album On How Life Is in 1999?
Madonna.
Macy Gray. Caroline, found in milk, is lactose a sugar or an enzyme?
Enzyme.
Sugar. Yvonne, in which US state is the city of Tucson?
Texas.
Arizona. Caroline, in the children's story, when Dick Whittington arrives in London, what did he think the streets will be paved with?
Gold.
Correct. Yvonne,
Bank.
what was the name of the maid in the TV series Fawlty Towers?
Polly.
Correct. Caroline.
Bank.
If a religion is monotheistic, what does it believe in?
One God.
Correct.
Bank.
Yvonne, what E is the religious ceremony designed to drive out ghosts, demons and spirits?
Exorcism.
Correct. Caroline.
Bank.
Which comedian starred in the 1996 film version of Sergeant Bilko?
Pass.
Steve Martin. Yvonne, the Hall of Fame for which American sport was established in Cooperstown, New York in 1839?
Baseball.
Correct. Caroline, in pop music, which Beatles album cover released in 1967 was designed by the artist Peter Blake?
Sgt. Pepper's, Having a Heart Club Band.
Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was the correct answer, but you were out of time. And you didn't make it to £1,000, Caroline and Yvonne. You won £130. We'll treble that and add it to the winnings from the previous rounds. That means prize money today of £1,800. But, of course, only one of you can take that money away. So you will now be playing against each other head to head. I'll ask alternate questions, best of 5. Whoever answers the most correctly wins. It's as simple as that. If there's a tie after 5, we'll go for sudden death until we have a winner. So, Caroline and Yvonne, for £1,800, let's play The Weakest Link. Yvonne, as the strongest link in the last round, you have the choice of who goes first.
I'll go first.
Yvonne, in science, which husband and wife team discovered radium in 1898?
The Curie's, Pierre and Marie.
Correct. Caroline, in the English legal system, for what do the initials DPP stand?
Director of Public Prosecutions.
Correct. Yvonne, in the animal kingdom, what is the name given to the offspring of a pen and a cob?
A cygnet.
Correct. Caroline, which castle in West Sussex is the principal seat of the Dukes of Norfolk?
Arundel Castle.
That is the correct answer. Yvonne, in the film Speed, what speed was the bus not supposed to drop below?
70.
50 miles an hour. Caroline, which footballer spent his entire professional career with Wolverhampton Wanderers and was the first player to make more than 100 appearances for his country?
Stanley Matthews.
Billy Wright is the correct answer. Yvonne, in mobile phones, for what does WAP stand?
World Wide Web Access Phone.
The correct answer is Wireless Application Protocol. Caroline, which country is the world's largest exporter of rice?
China.
Thailand is the correct answer. Yvonne, which musical by Marvin Hamlish tells the story of a dance audition?
Chorus Line.
That is the correct answer. Caroline, you need to answer this question correctly to stay in the game. RTE is the national broadcasting service of which country?
Taiwan.
The correct answer is Ireland. That means, Yvonne, you are today's strongest link and you go away with £1,800. Caroline, you leave with nothing. Join us again for The Weakest Link. Goodbye.
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the show. Yvonne was a very strong player all the way through, and she entirely deserves to win.
I couldn't believe it when I was asked a question about what was a WAP phone, because I've just been given one as a present. I finally figured out how to use it, but I've no idea what the initials stood for. So I was quite relieved when Caroline got her question wrong as well.